Today I'll be talking to you guys about sound design engineering, or SDE for short. So what exactly is a sound design engineer? Some of the borderline necessities of being a sound designer and engineer includes a college degree, knowledge and experience with multiple DAWs, VST plugins, and experience with associated fields like gaming, film, or any field you're going to work with. This is really, really important, especially if you're going to have to focus with people who are also in the field. For example, you might need to know a little about gaming code, or with animation, how atmosphere or background should look, and so on. So where exactly can you find jobs? Actually, as a matter of fact, you can find jobs almost anywhere. Anywhere from Disney all the way to like maybe a street in Brooklyn. You can find it almost anywhere you want. Some very important places you can find it too is working in film, animation, gaming, recording studios, samples, and sound production. That's only to name just a handful. So gaming with sound design is a little bit different. Gaming actually, as a sound design engineer, you're a senior level developer. Some things you gotta focus on is atmosphere, timing, and placement, as well as not only must the designer have the ability to create balanced quality sound, he or she also have the creative talent to imagine an entirely new oral world, like the unique sound of a lightsaber or a dinosaur or whale or anything that you can really imagine. So why do I want to go into gaming personally? Personally, I've been playing video games since I was a really little kid. I usually play like stuff like Nintendo, and then I got my first Xbox when I got older, and now I play on my PC. But honestly, it's just a whole new world. I also love how a sound designer for gaming, you're almost like your own boss, as you can supervise your work as a senior level developer. However, you may be placed into a leadership role with maybe interns or lower level like senior developers and stuff, and you have to work side by side. Film and effects. So this is kind of the lowest level you can kind of get with being a sound design engineer. Immediately upon being hired, a sound effects editor begins work on the script breakdown, making detailed notes, identifying all sounds specifically mentioned in the script or implied by the action. Sound effects fall under the four basic categories: hard sounds, background, Foley, and design. Like in the field of gaming, sound effects sounds need to feel natural and in place, not out of the ordinary or unrealistic. This is definitely something you need to see. Like you can hear it in or and while watching like a movie like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings, anything like that. There's tons of atmosphere. You hear the clashing of swords, and it has to be right on time and perfect. Unlike gaming as well, sound effects developers can be more of a freelancer, which is also something I really like. As a freelancer, you can work with more freely and work with other studios and films, and not just with one studio. Some great advice I found in the Get in Media article was about how, if you want to get into the industry, you should start as an apprentice or entry level and work your way up. This can also be said for animation, as you sometimes are tasked with developing more unrealistic sounds or unnatural sounds like a monster roar from Monsters Inc., or sometimes working with live sound for Pixar shows. So how does this all transfer? To put it in very simple terms, it's almost all the same. As a matter of fact, being a sound editor, being a sound designer, it just depends on where you are ranked in each category. So to put it very, very simply, you're working with sound in order to create a feeling, movement, or atmosphere to captivate the audience with making what they see, sound, and look real. I have already started my journey becoming a sound engineer by working on a video game with Indie Lab at Full Sail University called Dino Tanks. By starting my own sound design and sample label as well, named Devlin Sound, I would need to continue to build my resume in order to reach my main goal to become a sound designer or engineer for like bigger companies, even smaller gaming companies. That's my main goal. So something else I also want to talk about is how being a sound designer or engineer for sample and loop production is very different than a lot of the other ones, because sometimes you have to work by yourself and you could just be just one person working on this, or you work with other sound design engineers and you collaborate on the sounds. It can vary on what you do. So here I'm going to be showing you guys a quick video of me actually in the process of playing Dino Tanks and then working on the sound afterwards. But before I do that, I do want to say a couple things. Working with Dino Tanks, there's like some things that I have noticed that's very different. You are thrown into an atmosphere that's almost like completely new for some people. Like you could be speaking two different languages. Like they could be throwing HDMI, HM1 code or C++ or any other coding towards me, and I could be talking about, hey, this is hertz or decibels, or I could be talking more about audio and stuff, but they would have no idea what I'm talking about. So you have to learn how to get a middle ground with talking and speaking with people and how to get the whole atmosphere going and how to like communicate very well with the companies and studios. So now I'm just going to show you guys the video. So as you guys can see here, first things first, ignore me in the corner. But as you can see here, I'm kind of moving down. You can see the little dinosaur and stuff. This is something that's actually really important. Timing with, as you can see, is like as soon as like I shoot a missile, the sound completely just shoots right out, and you can hear the explosive just hit the thing right there. And then as soon as I'm like done and I'm just practicing, checking out, then I move on. If I see something wrong, I'll just hop into my DAW that I'm working on, and in live, I'll just fix up whatever I need to fix up or see wrong, or just edit it and just make sure it's all polished and cleaned up before finishing up and sending it back to the gaming devs. So to kind of end this all here, so Fortune doesn't want to work, so I guess I'll just end it here. But the next slide, as it's frozen, it was going to be all of our references here, but yeah, my remote died. That's all I got for you guys.